Hi everyone, it's Rachel, and this video today is going to be the remake tag. So basically what you do is take some of your old polymer clay charms and remake them as you would now to hopefully see some improvements. I have made quite a few of these videos in the past, so I'll make sure to leave the links to those ones down below in the description so you can check them out after this video. So we're going to begin with these kawaii toasted marshmallows on a stick. So this is the old charm. If I had to guess, I would say I probably made this in maybe 2015 or 16. As you can see, there's nothing too wrong with it, but if I zoom in, it is quite dusty and also a little bit sticky from the glaze. But in terms of like the kawaii faces and the actual charm itself, I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with it. I just thought I would pick this one to kind of give it a little go and see if I could make it any better now. And then here on the left we have the new design. So this is the new one that I made based off the old one. As you can see, they are very similar. The shape of the marshmallow is a little bit different. I tried to make the new one look a little bit more like the actual shape of a marshmallow and make them look a bit puffy. And then of course the faces are a tiny bit different. I would say on the new one they're a bit more precise. Sorry, it's not focusing. Let me work that out first. So as I was saying, the faces on the new one are probably a little bit more cleaner. I did keep all the little expressions the same, so they do look very similar there. You can see that I do the eyes a little bit differently. Now I make the eyes kind of stick out like a little ball, but I used to kind of put a ball of clay in and then push it in further by indenting it. So there's just a little bit of a style difference there. In terms of the actual toasted top, I also think the new one looks a bit cleaner, and of course it's much glossier as well. I used UV resin for my glaze here, but this one I think might have been maybe triple thick, so it has gone a bit sticky and dull over time. Next up we have these frappe charms. Well, they're not actually charms because they don't have an eye pin, but that's okay. So I've got these two frappe charms. This one on the left is a caramel frappe, and then this one is a chocolate frappe. So these are obviously the older ones that I made, and I made these pretty much when I was first starting out with clay. I would say maybe end of 2012 to the start of 2013 I created these. So the main part is made with polymer clay, and then I painted on a little logo. The cream on top, the whipped cream, isn't the neatest design. I didn't have a piping tip back then, so I had a little go myself. I do have the drizzle on top made using liquid clay with a little straw at the side as well. The straw on the chocolate one actually broke off because I didn't secure it in well enough, so that's why that one doesn't have a straw. But in terms of the actual frappe cup part, I do really like the swirls of clay that I managed to do. And then in comparison, here are the new frappe charms that I made. Of course, I added a kawaii face to these ones because that's more of my style now, but just looking at them like this, you can see that they are a lot neater and cleaner, and the actual design is kind of more crisp, I guess you could say. Here's the comparison of the caramel frappe. So obviously the cream is a lot better. I really like the logo painted on these ones. I think the detailing's a lot nicer. Obviously it's got a kawaii face, and the straw is a bit more sturdy this time. I made it a little bit larger so that it wouldn't actually fall off. And then here we have the two chocolates in comparison. Again, the new one is very similar to the caramel one, obviously just different colors, but you can see this time the white clay actually stays white, rather than when I used to handle white clay I would accidentally contaminate it a lot by using darker colors first and then using my white clay. So I really do try to avoid that now to make sure the colors stay nice and clean. Here we have another old charm, and these are two cats in a little box surrounded by some flowers. So if I had to guess, I would say this was maybe made in 2004. 2014, maybe the end of 2013. It's actually pretty small, definitely compared to the new one, which you'll see in a moment. So for those kind of smaller details, I would say I actually did a pretty good job making this a long time ago. As you can see, the faces are quite kind of large though compared to the actual cat itself, but here's also what the back looks like, and then the little box, and then here's what the new one looks like on the left. So obviously the first difference, as you can probably see, is it is a little bit larger and it has also been glazed. I did try to keep everything else fairly similar, like the colors of the box and the cats. Even the simplicity of the flowers, I also kept the same, just to make it as similar as possible, but also make sure that I could see improvements. So we'll have a little look at the new one. I really do like the way this turned out. I've got some texture on the box, and then obviously the flowers and the stems look a little bit more neater just compared to the older version. And then for the actual cats, I think they turned out really well. The faces are a lot more precise as well. And there's what the back looks like. So overall, I do think that I improved for this one, but let me know down below what you think. For my next older charm, I have this polar bear. This one's quite interesting. So starting off with the face, you can see I've tried to do some little white light reflections in the eyes, but they're very uneven and almost taking up all the black, so it does make it look a little bit creepy. For the mouth on this one, for some reason I have painted it on rather than use clay. I think it might have maybe fallen off after baking, so that's why I decided to paint it, but even then you can see it's very lopsided. The ears were an interesting way to make them. I've kind of indented them and then I coloured the inside part with some chalk pastels. And then if we turn it to the back, that's just what that looks like. Nothing really too wrong with that. It is quite dirty though, so if I zoom in, it's really hard to see on camera, but it does have quite a lot of dirt in the actual white clay. So here's what the new polar bear charm looks like in comparison. I would say this one is a big improvement. I really like the way that the new one turned out. So you can see that I used similar colors for like the little snout and the ears and everything, but this one is all made using clay. So the face on this one was made using black polymer clay, and then the ears I actually used pink in the middle like I usually would, and just even like its sitting pose is much neater, I guess. So there's the back. So its little legs aren't just blobs this time. I actually formed them and shaped them a lot better, I believe anyway. For my next older charm, I have this little toadstool cupcake, and this one I believe I kind of plucked from my very first charm box. So I would say this was made in 2012. So basically it's just a plain cupcake with some green frosting on top to kind of look like grass or moss, and then it's got some toadstools sticking out, so purple, pink and gold. If I did have to critique this one, I would say that the base is quite wonky and uneven. The cake part, I don't know why it's white and not an actual cake color, but in terms of the top part, I would say the toadstools are quite cute. I do really like the way they turned out, but I really wanted to kind of work on and improve the actual frosting part. So here is what the new one looks like in comparison, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say I really don't like the way that the new one turned out. I'm almost thinking of remaking the remake in a way. So I'll kind of just go through each part. So I kept the base a similar color, just a regular tan color, and obviously it's a lot better. I did use a mold for this one, I will admit though. I used an actual kind of cake color for the cake part, which I do like a lot better. And then I also have the addition of some sand around the base, which I do also like. The green frosting turned out a lot better, so I used my piping tip on the new one, and the shape and form of it has really improved. I think my main issue is with the toadstools on the new one. I think they're probably a little bit too big for the charm itself, and they've just kind of taken over. And then maybe it could also be that the spots are too big. I don't know, there's just something about the new one that I'm not 100% happy with, so I might even have a go at remaking the new one as well, but that's just what they look like in comparison. So the final designs that I decided to remake for this video are these little chubby dinos. Now these are very tiny and they are also dessert themed. So I have 3 different ones. The first one's like a little vanilla flavored dino, and it's got some pink dripping icing with sprinkles. Although these are very cute, I would say they are quite wonky, and I was really wanting to add some more detail to them as well. This one here is a chocolate one, very similar, but it's got some caramel drizzle. And then the last little guy is a pink strawberry one, and it's got chocolate drizzle. And then here we have the new chubby dinos. So the major difference I would say is the size. I might go through them one by one. So here is what the new ones look like to the old ones in terms of their size comparison. The new ones are probably the size that I would make my chubby dinos now. I also added a kawaii face to each one. There's more detail on the spikes. I changed up the sauce or drizzle colors, and then I've also added some little dessert details. So this is the kind of vanilla colored one. Here's its little kawaii face and from the side. So for the actual spikes, I gave it a waffle texture, and I did also shade it so it kind of looked like little waffle pieces. For the sauce on this one, I used a caramelly color just so it matched the actual chubby dino a little bit more. There's some rainbow sprinkles, some cream, and a cherry on top. And here's what it looks like next to the older vanilla colored one. Here is the strawberry one. Again, a lot neater and cleaner. I did change the color up a little bit more, so it was a bit more pastel colored, I guess, rather than this warm kind of pink tone that I used on the old one. And then it's got all the same sprinkle and cherry details as well. And finally, the chocolate chubby dino, I did lighten the color of the actual dinosaur of this one, just so then I could do the chocolate dripping sauce just a little bit of a darker color. Again, I used the waffle kind of texture on the spikes and also all the dessert details on top. So here are all the comparisons and charms that I made for this video. I feel like this video in particular was a bit of a mixed bag of major improvements and then some smaller improvements as well. In saying that though, I did have a lot of fun recreating my older charms and having a go at making them now as I would in my own style. If you enjoyed this remake tag, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for lots more crafty videos, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!